அன்பினிய பிரித்தானிய தமிழ் வானொலி நேயர்களே, மனித பிறவி ஒரு ஒப்பற்ற பிறவி இல்லையா? விலங்குத்தன்மையிலிருந்து விலகி மனிதத்தன்மையை அடைந்து இறைத்தன்மையை அடைய முயற்சித்து கொண்டிருக்க வேண்டும். எப்போதுமே இயல்பாக மனிதனுடைய வாழ்க்கை குறைவுடையதுதான், குற்றமுடையதுதான். இவை எல்லாவற்றையும் நீக்கி நிறைவான வாழ்வை பெறுவதற்கு ஒரு உந்து சக்தி வேண்டுமல்லவா? உலகியல் துன்பமாகவே இருந்தாலும் அதை இன்பமாக மாற்றக்கூடிய ஒரு கோட்பாடு நம்மிடையே இருக்கிறது இல்லையா? ஆமாம், புறநானூற்றில் கூட ஒரு வரிகள் இருக்குது. இன்னாதம் இவ்வுலகம் இனிய காண்க அதில் இதன் இயல்புணர்ந்தோரே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. உலகம் கொடியது தான், ஆனால் அந்த கொடிதுக்குள்ளேயும் ஒரு நன்மை இருக்குது அப்படின்றத உணரக்கூடிய ஒரு தன்மை நமக்குள்ளே வந்துட்டுதுன்னா இறை சக்தி நம்மோட எப்போவுமே இருக்குன்னு தாங்க அர்த்தம். பெரியவரிடமாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, இறைவனோட அன்பு செலுத்துகிற அந்த பக்தி இருக்குது இல்லையா, அது அரசபக்தி, குரு பக்தி, பதிபக்தி, இப்படி பல விதமாக இருக்கலாம். ஆனால் பக்தி என்ற சொல்லுக்கு பரம்பொருளை நோக்கி உயிர்கள் அழும் அழுகை, அந்த வழிபாடு அதுதான் அப்படின்னுட்டு நம்மளுடைய ஆங்கில மகாகவி டெனிசன் கூட சொல்லியிருப்பார். உயிர்கள் குற்றங்களிலிருந்து விடுபடுது, அன்பு பெருகுது, உயிர் தூய்மை மேம்பாடு அடையுது. எல்லை மீறிய அன்பில் கலக்கும் போது பக்தி உருவம் பெறுகிறது இல்லையா? பக்தி அப்படின்றது உடல் உறுப்பில் தொடங்கிறது கிடையாது, உணர்வில் முகிழ்த்து உறுப்புகளில் பரவி அன்புமயமாக்கப்படுவது. பக்தின்ற அந்த உயிருள்ள ஊற்று, உணர்வின் வெள்ளம், பக்தியினுடைய பயன் தொண்டாக மாற்றப்படுகிறது நம்மளால். அன்பின் முதிர்ச்சி ஆர்வமாகி பக்தி என்ற பெயரில் நம்மையெல்லாம் கட்டி போட்டிருக்குது இல்லையா மக்களே? அப்படி ஒரு அற்புதமான பக்திக்கான பயணமாக இங்கே எந்த ஒரு கலாச்சாரத்தையும் நம்பிக்கையும் பிரதிநிதித்துவப்படுத்துவாமல் எல்லா மதங்களையும் கடந்து மொழிகளையும் கடந்து ஒரு அழகான புனித யாத்திரை தலமாக இருக்குது. இங்கே அன்பு, அஹிம்சை, அமைதி, உண்மை, ஒழுக்கம், சுய விழிப்புணர்வு, நோக்கத்தின் தெளிவு, கடவுள் பக்தி, இறைவனை விரும்புவது அப்படின்னு இத்தனை விழுமியங்களையும் தனக்குள்ளே வச்சிட்ருக்கிற ஒரு அற்புதமான ஸ்தலம் ஸ்கந்தவேல். ஆமாங்க, முருகன், விஷ்ணு, காளி, இன்னும் பல தெய்வங்கள் அங்கே ஒன்று கூடி மிக அழகாக ஒத்தையடி பாதையாக இருந்தாலும் ஒரு மலையடிவார நிழலுக்குள் நம்ம எல்லாரையும் வியாபித்து கொண்டிருக்கும் ஒரு அற்புதமான ஸ்தலம். வாருங்கள், இந்த அற்புதமான ஸ்தலத்தினுள் உங்களுக்காக நிகழ்ச்சியை பக்திக்காக வழங்க வருகின்றார். நிகழ்ச்சிக்குள்ளே போகலாமா?
Hello everyone. We are talking from the Skanda Vale Ashram today, and we are going to interview Swami at the temple, who's going to share his experiences about Skanda Vale and God. Hopefully you will enjoy the next 15 minutes of the interview. Thank you. Swami, can I start by asking about Skanda Vale? How can people get more out of Skanda Vale? People do come from all parts of the country and even from abroad. How can we best make use of this pilgrimage?
Pilgrimage is the right word, and in the ancient times, I remember our gurus who came from Sri Lanka would say that when he went from Colombo to Katragama, he travelled by bullock cart, and it would take him 3 weeks with his family, and they would fast and prepare before going on pilgrimage. It was a hard journey, a difficult journey. Many pilgrimages in India, or if you go to Kailas or somewhere like that, or temple like Vaishno Devi temple, or you do parikrama around Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai, it's an effort. You have to make an effort to get the grace of God. Now here in the Western world, it's very easy. You jump in your car, you drive down the motorway, and you arrive at the temple, and people expect everything just to be there. So preparation is important. Having the right mindset is important. So one thing that Guru set in motion here is that he asked people to be vegetarian for at least 3 days. to purify their system, to be ready to receive the energy of God, the grace of God. And when people arrive in Skanda Vale, it's important that they are not just physically present, but they're present in their mind. And in today's day and age, we've all got phones, we've all got mobile phones, and people are preoccupied with them. They're constantly checking Instagram, WhatsApp, all of this stuff. And we ask people when they come here, just for a few hours, to turn their phones off and to connect with the energy of God. So if you ask a question, well, what is a sacred place? What is a temple? Or any place of a pilgrimage? It's a place of power, of Shakti, where the divine manifests, and that people, when they come there on pilgrimage, are coming to drink from that reservoir of grace. And to drink from that reservoir of grace, you need to be empty within yourself. Your mind needs to be still. You need to be receptive and open to and sensitive to that presence of God. So being physically here and being present in your mind is important. And not to talk too much. Feel that presence of God. Feel that vibration, that energy. Connect with that energy of God. Skanda Vale is in a very beautiful place. We have it's a 300-acre ashram. We have many animals here, which are all different manifestations of the divine. It's beautiful. It's set in a beautiful nature, and that nature also helps people to connect with the energy of God, because part of the manifestation of God is the natural world that surrounds us, the sun, the water, the earth. All of these things, people say Bhumi Mangalam, Vayu Mangalam, Surya Mangalam. Most auspicious, the manifestation of God is in the natural world that surrounds us, but we're not aware of that because we're too wrapped up in ourselves. So being present in our mind, connecting with the energy of God, being quiet, being sensitive, those are important preparations to get the most out of our pilgrimage.
Thank you, Swami. Yes, we do see the importance of being quiet. Thank you. Thank you, Swami. Many children do accompany us on this pilgrimage. And what suggestions or advice would you give it to children?
Children are their own being. They're growing up. They go to school and they get taught religion, or they're at home and they come from a Hindu family or whatever, and so there's a pressure on them to actually behave in a certain way, but they've got their own independent way of thinking. They look at the world and they say, well, actually, if you look at the news, a lot of what's on the news is about one religion hating another. It's about religion causing conflict. It's and they ask questions. Well, is God really in this statue? Is God really in these pictures? Does God really ride on a tiger or a peacock? Is that actually who God is? Or they may be asked to read certain spiritual texts like the Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, if they're from a Hindu background, or different faiths have different spiritual texts. But for a lot of kids, that's not real. They're asking that question, well, actually, who is God? And how do we actually come to know and experience God? And that's an important thing, is how do you actually directly experience God? How do you talk to God? How do you hear God? How do you touch God? How do you see God? How do you feel God? So we need to educate kids about how you can have a real interaction and directly experience God. That's the first thing. So how do we do that? We do that by understanding who God is, understanding the nature of God. Now, I mentioned just before, God is the elements. The manifestation of God is the elements, the 5 elements: earth, air, water, fire, ether. That's the manifestation of God in the elements. And ask the simple question, when you're eating food, where does the food come from? It doesn't just come from Tesco's or online. How is the milk made from a cow? How is the rice grown? All of those things, how are the vegetables grown? What makes those things grow? You need the sun, you need the earth, you need the rain, you need the air. So you're surrounded by God in your life, but we don't realize that. We're not sensitive to that. So when we start to thank God for the food that we eat, we offer our food and we ask God to bless that, it becomes prasadam. So we begin to understand, well, who is God? God is the natural world that surrounds us. And the other thing that kids can, well, everyone, not just kids, can relate to is God is within us, within every single one of us, as the embodiment of love. Now, people don't like talking about God. Some people resent the word God. Some people get hung up about the word God. But every single person can relate to love. Every single person longs to experience and express love in their life. And within all of us, we have the capacity to express our higher nature. By higher nature, I'm talking about sweetness, compassion, understanding, tolerance, consideration. And then our lower nature, greed, anger, jealousy, comparison, pulling people down. So there's this drama within every single person. There's nobody who's so holy they don't have a lower nature and a high, no one's perfect. So we need to talk about that presence of God within us expressing itself as love, as unconditional love. So how we interact with our brothers, our sisters, our parents, grandparents, friends, family, and the wider world and the natural world, the animals, the plants, the nature that surrounds us. If we express ourselves and our actions are actions of love, of selflessness, of care for others, of consideration, then we will experience God within us. We will directly experience the presence of God within us. And then it becomes real. And you also become sensitive and aware of the presence of God in every other person. And not just every other person, in the natural world. So you cultivate this awareness and sensitivity of that universal presence of God.
Thank you, Swami, for sharing your experiences and insights. Can you tell us about the law of cause and effect? Most of us believe in the law of karma. Can you share a bit more information about it?
Every thought, word, and action sets in motion many cycles of reaction, cause and effect. Cause and effect is often referred to as the law of karma. Everything in this manifest universe is subject to the law of karma. Karma and mahakarma. So there are various types of karma. We can have lineage karma. So we all come from a lineage. So our fathers, mothers, grandparents, great-grandparents, children, we have a lineage connection, and that lineage carries an element of collective karma. We also have individual karma. So every thought, word and action sets in motion a cycle of reactions. And then we are also involved in mahakarma. So mahakarma can be the karma of a group of collective people, of a country, a nation. So all of these are sort of karmic influences in our life. Where we are born, our parents, the opportunities we have, how our education will be, the country where we are, all of these, every single thing is dictated by karma from our previous incarnation. And the purpose of our birth is to fulfill and express our karma. Because what prevents us from realizing our own true nature, our divine nature, is our karma. It's like a veil. If you imagine like a net curtain or a veil, and in our path of evolution, the consequences of our actions have separated us from being aware of our own divine nature. And as our life unfolds, in a sense, we have chosen this birth, the birth that we are in order to fulfill and express certain karmas. And the reason we want to do that is so that we can move on our path of evolution, ultimately to merge with the totality of God. That's the purpose of our life. It's not just to collect and experience material things and all the things that are impermanent. It's to fulfill and express our karma. And when we realize that, it helps us as well never to judge another person, because we do not have the capacity to see the full extent of another individual's karma. We don't have the capacity to understand what that person has to express, fulfill, and complete this incarnation in order for them to move on their journey of evolution. So we should never ever judge ourselves. We should never ever judge another human being. Life gives us an opportunity to serve, to express love, and through that service and expression of love and care for other life, automatically our karma will be reduced. Our negative karma will be reduced. We will feel lighter, and we will become more aware. As that veil of karma lifts, we will become more aware of our own true nature. So karma is very important. Mindfulness helps us in our spiritual journey. We need to become self-aware, aware of the consequences of our words, thoughts, and actions. And when we become mindful, we can stop creating more negative karma for ourselves. And we can use the opportunities that life gives us to be positive, loving, and recognize that divine presence in everyone else, and also recognize that the journey, our journey of evolution, is a difficult journey. And it's not just difficult for us, it's difficult for every single soul. Every single soul, not just people, birds, animals, the natural world, has a very, very difficult journey of evolution.
Thank you, Swami, for sharing all your wisdom. My final question is, Skanda Vale is involved in so many charitable activities, including hospice. Can you tell us how the general public can get involved? For example, I understand there are also, 10K runs and walking challenge, 3 Peaks challenge, and to raise funds. In what ways can the public get involved?
So Skanda Vale is only successful because we have a massive group of massive Saver team and people who give of their time to do Saver in the temple and within the temple projects. One of those biggest projects is a hospice. About 7 miles away from Skanda Vale, we have a 6-bed hospice, beautiful inpatient unit where we currently provide daycare once a week and respite for people affected with a life-threatening illness for 1 week a month. We have volunteer opportunities, which we've actually just created. They're residential opportunities where people can come and stay either in the ashram or in a B&B that's connected with the ashram. They can stay there completely free of charge for a period of 4 or 5 days each month, and then do Saver in the hospice. And in the hospice, this includes clinical volunteers, so volunteers who may be registered as healthcare support workers, registered nurses, doctors, patient assessors, cooks, people who can clean, people who can do maintenance, a whole range of volunteering opportunities where people can benefit from staying in the ashram and coming to the pujas, but during that 1 week a month, they can go and volunteer in a hospice. We also have a longer residential opportunity, which is for 3 months minimum, where a person, maybe if they've got that opportunity in their life, they can have that time off. They commit and they come and live in the ashram for those 3 months, and then each day they're doing Saver both in the temple and in the hospice. So these opportunities can be there's a lot of information online on the hospice website. skandavalehospice.org or the temple website, skandavale.org, you can search for those volunteer opportunities. We also we've just begun a kids group, Skanda Vale Youth, and that's only just started this summer. And so we've got a group of really vibrant young people who are starting to look at how they can be ambassadors of Skanda Vale, ambassadors of Sanatana Dharma, and get together to inspire other young people to get involved, to come to the temple, to do seva, to help during the big festival season, the summer holidays, the winter holidays. We also do retreats in the year at Skanda Vale, which are advertised online for families and kids to come and get involved in. And then, of course, there are many seva opportunities just each week or weekend. We have a big Sabre team here helping run the ashram. It's a big ashram, there's lots going on. We have a big food aid program where many of the food offerings that devotees bring are blessed, and then we are able to distribute those to people all over the country who actually have no food, who are really hungry, and food banks and other places. And so that's quite a big operation, helping to move and distribute that food around the place. And we're always looking for opportunities we're looking for people to come and help do seva in the kitchens here, in the temples, stewarding. So many different opportunities. We have fundraising opportunities for the hospice, some really fun ones. This coming weekend there's the Three Peak Challenge in Switzerland, so people can actually stay in our ashram up in the mountains. It's beautiful. It's a bit like Badrinath, Kedarnath, right high up in the mountains in Switzerland. In the winter there's snow there, but we still keep the temples open. There's also there's a big 10k run in London in September. The details of that are on the website. And there'll be a group from Skanda Vale Hospice and the temple there. We have many other events, both in the ashram and in the hospice, to also raise funds for the hospice as well. And yeah, we'd love you to get involved, whether it's doing seva in the temple or being in the hospice. Another opportunity that we have here in the temple is that we have an opportunity for groups to come and prepare food for devotees and offer that as a donation. We're actually sitting here at the moment recording this in a food stall in Skanda Vale. So we have, right through the summer especially, we have groups coming down, and there's some amazing cooks out there, and they can sort of prepare dishes that we know that many devotees enjoy, and that's offered for a donation, and all of those funds help fund the hospice. So that's another marvellous thing that people could get involved in.
Okay, thank you very much, Swami, and thank you on behalf of our BITR team for sharing your time with me. Thank you.
என் அன்பு நேயர்களே, ஒரு அற்புதமான ஆன்மீக பயணத்திற்குள் நம் பிரித்தானிய தமிழ் வானொலி உங்கள் அனைவரையும் அழைத்துச் சென்றதல்லவா? இந்த ஒரு அற்புதமான தருணத்தில் நம்மளுடைய இறைபக்தி 2 விதமாக இருக்கும் இல்லையா? இறைவனுக்கு நாம் விரும்புகிறத செய்கிறது, இறைவன் விரும்புகிறத நாம் இறைவனுக்காக செய்கிறது. இந்த 2 செய்தாலுமே இறைவனுக்கும் பிடிக்கும், நமக்கும் ஒரு மனநிறைவு. இந்த தொண்டு அப்படின்ற ஒரு விஷயத்தை இந்த ஸ்தலம் மக்களுக்காக இன்னும் அதிகமாக செய்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. நாம் அந்த தளத்திற்குள் அடியெடுத்து வைத்த உடனேயே நாம் என்ன தொண்டு செய்ய வேண்டும் என்பதனை நமக்காக உணர்த்தும் ஒரு அழகான ஒரு தருணம்தான் ஸ்கந்தவேல் யாத்திரை தளம். இறைவனுக்காக, இறைவன் பொருட்டு நம்மை இழந்து நிற்கும் நிலையே பக்தி. மனதை இறைவனிடத்தில் நிலைநிறுத்தி கொண்டு அந்த பக்தியின் ஒரு திறவுகோலாக இங்கே நாம் எல்லோருமே இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியினூடாக வியாபித்திருந்தோம் இல்லையா? உடம்பு முழுவதுமே மென்மையாக வைத்திருக்கும் பூவாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, மேனி எங்கும் முள் வளர்த்து கொண்டிருக்கும் முள்ளாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, இருவருக்குமே சாய்ந்து கொள்வதற்கு ஒரு இடம் வேண்டுமல்லவா? அது இறைவனுடைய திருமேனியாக மட்டுமே இருக்கும். அது எல்லாவற்றையும் அரவணைக்கும் தன்மை கொண்டது. அந்த தன்மைக்குள் நீங்கள் அனைவரும் லயித்திருப்பீர்கள் என்ற நம்பிக்கையோடு இன்னும் அதிகமான பக்தி நிகழ்ச்சியோடு உங்களோடு இணைய இருக்கப் போவது பிரித்தானிய தமிழ் வானொலியினுடைய ஆர்ஜே டாக்டர் எழில் ஆனந்த் அவர்கள். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.